Okay, we're here once again, Lee Kreider with the Ohio Ram Show. And we have Adam Ashwill out there in Fort Scott, Kansas. We're going to get to him in just a moment, but just say welcome to the show. And if you are watching the show here on the Facebook page, you'll see a link to it there. We'd be happy if you would give us a like there so you can see what else we've got going on. And of course, we're also on YouTube tonight. So if you'll do a search for Ohio Ram Show on YouTube, if you're there, give us a like as well. And all of you can add comments to the show as we go along here. And we're going to go in here now. And Adam, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Well, I don't have your audio. Oh, yeah, that came. It's just a little delay.
Okay. All right.
We're doing well. And Adam, I brought in somebody else who's doing the 60, and a good friend of mine. He's been on other shows, Jim Lawyer. Jim, meet Adam Ashwill.
Hi, Adam. Glad to finally meet you.
Yeah, great. For sure.
Okay, very good. Now, if you out there who are watching at the moment, if you will just let me get something straightened out here. Be sure to leave us a comment so we can know you're here. And I see Simon Hughes and Tom Florian there. Hi, Simon. Hi, Tom. Glad to have you with us. And Adam or Jim, well, let's ask Jim. He's the technical person. Jim, explain to us what the 60 is and how, when we look at that board, what we're seeing.
Yeah, basically, the 60 is a 12 days. You ride at least an hour, preferably the whole route, but at least an hour on these virtual courses that they've set up. And they're pretty tough courses. You have a trainer that's a smart trainer that's talking to the application, which is full gas, and it controls the tension or whatever on your bike, so it feels like you're going uphill when you're going uphill, feels like you're on flats, etc. So it's a pretty realistic ride.
Okay, and Adam, he denotes himself. I have to take all the text away here so that you can see your name. You call yourself that 16-year-old kid. I called you the teen rock star of ultra cycling. Don't feel you have to live up to anything, Adam. How have you been doing, Adam, so far?
Well, I mean, I've been pretty good. I mean, I haven't had to really battle with anything hard. I mean, I'm used to riding this hard pretty much every single day. But, I really piled in the miles last week. I think I did like 230 miles last week. Feet of climbing. But I think that the real toll this is taking is kind of sleep deprivation, because when I go to work on Saturday and Sunday, I have to be there at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I have to get up, therefore, at 3 o'clock in the morning so that I can do my stage. And I set my trainer out on my front porch, which I have electricity out there. And I just set my phone on my table and I go and I do my stage. Well, after I get off, I go to work and I'm pretty much trashed by the time I get there. And then I survive my shift and come home, and then I sleep, and then I do it all over again every single day.
Now, wait a minute. You're getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning? Or before 3, maybe?
Yes.
And Jim, they say the younger generation is going to the
usually
dogs.
right at 3, and I'll be on the bike.
Jim, did you hear me? I said the younger generation is going to the dogs.
I don't know. He's a very strong rider from what I've seen. He's doing excellent. I think this last stage, he's like number 3 out of everybody. So he's doing excellent and very good cyclist. So I think he's not the dogs. He's the other end. He's the cheetah.
Yeah, he's really knocking them down there. And the only thing we worry about, Adam, is that for your age, you're pushing it too hard too soon, but I'm sure you're taking care of that pretty well. So you said in a post, I saw a post you made that you found this really fun. So some people find this kind of boring, but you're finding it fun, right?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't raced a race since February, and I was planning on racing multiple events between February and June. I was initially going to accrue for Race Across the West for this June for Randy Horton, but what happened. So I've been looking for somewhere to race and something to race, and so I found this. I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to do it. I've never done any virtual racing before. And I heard that, from some friends of mine that, my power to weight ratio is super awesome because I can put out a lot of power and I'm really light. I mean, I'm like 130 pounds. So, I mean, I can put out extreme amounts of power and I could dominate virtual racing. So I was like, okay, I think I'm going to take them up on this. So I start racing it and, every day, it's just a race to win. But there are some stronger guys out there, as I've seen. I mean, I'm sitting in second place overall, and I think I have for like the last 3 stages or something like that. But, this is just a lot of fun trying to gain myself up on the leaderboard and gain time up on first place.
Well, the leaderboard for the 60 that I see, maybe you see something different. I know there's a different one you see if you're a participant. Only gives me times, and I'm not quite sure what those times are. Is that the time it takes you to complete the segment for that day? Is that what that is?
So the first one, when you first get onto the website and it shows all the times, that is that day's segment. But if you scroll down to general classifications, that's what shows the total time for everybody. So...
Okay, so there's one below that I haven't been seeing.
Right, you have to scroll all the way to the bottom, and you'll see general classifications after, like today, general classifications after stage 8, and it'll show probably me still in first place because Carlo, the guy who's currently leading, hasn't done his stage yet. But I mean, and people do their stages all over the day. So I mean, if you're first place at the start of the day, there's a very low chance that you're going to be in first place 12 hours later. So.
And Jim just told me before we went on the air that he's not doing his till 9:00 tonight.
Yeah,
so
correct.
you have any time during your 24-hour span?
Jeez.
Is that, or how's that work? I mean, is it on the world time clock or just your local time?
You can do them pretty much. So you can do them any time of the day. I know I just prefer to do mine in the morning because I'm an early riser and I prefer to ride harder in the morning so that I'm awoken. Because if I wake up in the morning and I go in the afternoon, I'm kind of sluggish. I know Jim doing it at 9:00 at night. That would I probably wouldn't be in the same position if I were doing it at 9:00 at night.
It's not my preferred time.
You can do multiple stages a day. What's that?
It's not my preferred time, trust me. It's just how it's working out, unfortunately. I'd much rather ride early in the morning. Yeah.
So you do yours outside on the front porch or something, do you? Adam, did I get it? You're outside?
Yeah, I do. I get yeah. Yeah,
do you,
so I get
do you have any visitors
really
at 3:00 in the morning?
When I'm inside.
Do you have any visitors at 3:00 in the morning?
Well, surprisingly, I've seen some people walking up and down the sidewalk. They haven't said anything. They probably think that I'm on drugs or something. Being up at.
But you know what? If you're afraid of being thought nuts, best not get into ultracycling in the first place, right? Hey, I see somebody in here that you know or think a lot of, and that's Georgie Stoychev is in here. Hey, Georgie, say something to Adam. Georgie, we had him on the show. We finished with him. Were you on that time, Jim?
Yes, I was. Yes.
Yeah, I thought you were there as well. So, well, you share something also in common with Jim, because you and your parents run a time station. In fact, that's how you got involved, as I understand it, with the Race Across America in the first place. And Jim here, actually, I could credit him with having a lot to do with the starting of all 3 time stations here in Ohio, and particularly Chillicothe, where he's managing now, but he was involved in Blanchester, Oxford, and knows a lot about it. So you guys ever have any thoughts to share with one another? I'm sure you have something. So Jim, you going to be there next year?
Definitely. We were hoping to be there now, but like Adam said, unfortunately, the circumstances didn't work out that way. But hopefully we'll be back there bigger and better and cheering everybody on as they come through.
Okay, very good. And Georgie did text here, says, "Hey, Adam, awesome work. I'm your fan. What improvements since I saw you during RAM 2019. You are the future and hope for American winter in RAM. Keep working on yourself." Well, we hope that happens because we need to see more people like you. And I hope that maybe some people around Fort Scott or somewhere else will think, if he can do that, I can too. And we'll see more people like Adam out there. So Joanna Sharp is here. Joanna was the woman's winner of the virtual Raw. Joanna, chime in here. We've got this young chap in here, 16 years old, and he has done a number of ultra races already and making quite a name for himself, and has got an international following. I call him the teen idol or the teen rock star. Joanne says, "Hi, Adam. Awesome work." Okay, very good. Go ahead, Jim.
Adam, what kind of setup do you have as far as trainer wise? And are you riding one bike for all the stages, especially since they're really hilly, or are you switching in and out?
Yeah, so I'm riding a Tax Vortex trainer. What's up?
I'm sorry, there's just a little bit of delay.
I'm riding
sound getting to you, so go ahead.
Okay, yeah, so I'm riding a Tax Vortex trainer, which is a wheel-on trainer, and I set it up on my porch. I have a towel underneath it, and I have an extension cord that mounts up to one of our outlets that's plugged into the ceiling of our house because we had Race Across America, and we had to have outdoor outlets. So I just plug it into there, and I have a table sitting next to my bike. I always ride the same bike. I preferably try to stay off my time trial bike as much as I can. The upright road bike makes it a lot easier when you're climbing, especially when it's really steep. My road bike that I'm riding is a Lightspeed C1 carbon, and it's a very comfortable bike. I'm used to riding a time trial bike most of the time, and it takes its toll after a while.
Yeah, that's what I'm on. I'm on a Fuji D6 and geared way wrong for what we're riding.
Okay, and Joanna wants to know how you're feeling. How's it been going? You been hurting any place or?
Me? No, I mean, I haven't really had a whole lot of pain. I'm used to going out there and hurting myself almost every day. But, honestly, the stages where it's 9 miles and 3,000 feet of climbing, they take their tolls because after you get off your bike, you're drenched and my go-to thing is I get off and I take my shoes off and I go in and get some water and I take a shower, throw my bibs in the washing machine, and then I'll go take a nap afterwards because they just absolutely take their toll on you. I mean, the stages where it's really flat and fast, most people are going to take advantage of those easy stages and they're going to go super fast on them. Me, not so much. I usually try to attack when everybody else is suffering. But I mean, that's my biggest thing. I prefer the climbing stages, but that's just me. It hasn't really hurt too much. I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling really fresh. I shouldn't have done so much training last week, but I just don't want to overtrain during this race because I have a mountain bike race 2 weeks later after this race. So,
wow.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, you're going to have to get some recovery going. And Georgie wants to know what you think the hardest and the easiest. Georgie wants to know the hardest.
Honestly, I think the hardest aspect is not having. Yeah, so I think that the most difficult aspect is not being able to go anywhere and not having much ventilation, not having the air moving through your hair. I mean, sure, you could set up a fan in front of your face, but you're just gonna sit there and you can't go anywhere. I mean, he would know. He's done Race Across the West, and that's just unbelievable. I know I'm destroyed after 1 hour, and you know he was on there for like many more hours than me, but I mean. Honestly, that's the hardest aspect. The easiest aspect is no wind.
Okay, very well. I see Debbie Haas Williams. I knew her as Debbie Haas many years ago, who is a Ram veteran. Adam here, 16 years old. Debbie, I don't think you were that young when you did Ram, were you? But I know you were doing some heavy riding back there when you were a kid. So glad to have you in here as well. Jim, let me ask you that question. And by the way, folks, what's going on here? Apparently there's a delay that Adam is getting on his sound, and that's why we're stomping on one another. It's not because we're thoughtless, although sometimes I've been known to be thoughtless. It's just that delay factor that's creeping in here. Jim, what's been the hardest and easiest for you?
Well, I'm used to writing trainers a lot because I teach a trainer class and I've done so for the last 10 years. But on this one especially, normally you have people that you can see in front of you and push you, etc. It's a little bit different on this. So I think that's the hardest, not having somebody out in front of you that you want to catch, like a rabbit. The easiest, like Adam said, is, you're inside, no wind. And you've got, basically you can have air conditioning, etc. So I think that's the easiest of indoor racing or riding.
Okay, Larry's here again, and he wants to know. We talked. What's your racing and 40 shots? You know what we're talking about there? Can you see that question? What is Adam racing?
Yeah, what? Yeah, I mean, I'm racing the 60.
Yeah.
I almost raced V-Raw, which I'm really glad I didn't do that.
Heard that.
Yeah.
What do you think about how, the people on VRAM, they're way behind as far as where they would be if they were outdoors, because I think it's a lot harder than they expected. What do you think about that? Do you think this is a fair way of looking at things, since I don't think anybody's really going to be able to finish?
No, neither do I. Honestly, people are way behind than even the farthest behind. The cutoff for the Mississippi River is 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, Central Standard Time, as far as I know. That's how it was last year. And there's nobody even halfway into Kansas, as far as I know right now. And there's no way, because you're only going to get slower the farther you go. Mm-hmm. There's no way that you'll be able to complete the 3,000 miles in under 12 days. Maybe 15 or 20 days. Yeah, for sure. But I don't really foresee anybody doing 15 or 20 days on a trainer. I know I wouldn't. I think that they're probably just going to end up shortening the distance, probably by like 500 miles or so. That's what I think they're going to do, because that'd be the most likable thing, so you could be classified as a ramp finisher. But, this is just absolutely extreme.
Definitely. I agree with you.
Are you going to wave to them when they come by Fort Scott?
Yeah, somehow. We'll find a way.
find a way of some kind.
Maybe not the old way, but we'll find a way.
I just want to give a shout out to Chris Potter, who jumped in here. Let me get this window out of the way. And Arthur McMahon and Jill Marks. Glad to have you on board. And he's super impressed, Larry is, with this. After 4 times. Let's get Debbie had a comment here. Did the Midwest Double Century in Wapak. I remember that, Debbie, well. That's long gone. 1978-79, she would have been 15 or 16. Bam, Mike right across Missouri, St. Louis, Kansas City in 1981. So you got somebody here who was quite young at the time, and she understands where you're coming from. Well, what have you got to share with us, Adam, that we haven't asked or haven't said?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I just want to wish good luck to the people that, race across America, because this is absolutely insane. I think it said that VRAM qualifies you for real RAM. I think that real RAM should qualify you for VRAM, because this is just absolutely insane.
Yeah, definitely. I always thought that, or talked to my classes, that an hour on the trainer is at least 2 hours outside, if not longer, comparison wise.
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Can you see these comments, Adam? I don't know if you see them on a phone or not.
Yeah, I can see them coming in. I don't think we can make virtual pumpkin bread. Yeah.
There you go.
There's a story behind this. Adam's mom baked a loaf of pumpkin bread for every rider that came through, and it became quite a thing. I think she kind of decided that's got to be more than she can handle, maybe, but I know everybody's looking for the pumpkin bread. And Tracy says, so strong, such an inspiration, Adam. And you are. We're excited to have you with us because, as we've all kind of lamented, we see us all getting gray hair here, except Jim there. But I think he colors his hair, actually. But
there you go.
Okay, let's see. Got a couple more comments before we leave here. Want to get them as many as we can. Or give riders sandwich and the ability to do laundry. Yes, that time station 30 at Fort Scott has become sort of famous. And you guys have done a wonderful job there. Everybody talks about 30. We brag about our time stations here in Ohio, 41, 42, and 43. But you guys do it with just a couple people and not much help. And we appreciate that. Let's see what Larry's got to say. What kind of long distance racing have you done before this? Go over your scenario just a little bit, Adam. What you've done. Your CV.
I did my first race when I was 15 years old last year and about 90 pounds heavier or so. I did a 24-hour time trial, and I did okay. I did 202 miles in 20 hours or so, and I ended up quitting the race, which was the worst decision of my life. And then after that, I knew that I needed to fix something, so I lost a tremendous amount of weight, and I got in extreme shape. And this past February, I went down to Sebring, Florida, and raced the 12-hour time trial, which my only aspiration was just to beat the course record, which was 187 miles or so. And my goal was like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and set the bar at 200 miles. So I trained like a fat rat to do that 200 miles. And I went into it with aspirations of only doing the 200 and being done. But I think I went a little harder than anticipated. I did 225 miles in 12 hours, and which broke the course record, obviously. But there was another guy in my category who did 3 more miles than I did. So, but he was 18 years old, and kudos to him. He did an awesome job, but I couldn't catch him. But that was a fun race. I think I went a little hard. It took about 5 days to recover from that time trial, but I don't know. I anticipate a 24-hour time trial probably next February. So,
yeah, Larry said you learned from time trial from DNFs. And that's for those of you who don't know is do not finish. People are always asking that. We use this and we use these use these names sometimes and don't remember that there are people who don't know what they mean. And we're always glad to have you here because that's the way you learn. Hey, listen, as Larry pointed out,
Right.
you learn from DNFs. I always point out to people, sometimes I talk to people at DNF that they feel down in the mouth. I says, you have joined an elite group. You can't name me one of the top ultra cyclists in the world who hasn't DNF'd once or more times. Most of them more than
Right.
one time. So I know it's tough when you do that. I don't care. I don't call that dropping out. You did 200 miles your first time out. Hey, you did your job. So don't knock yourself. We don't allow people knocking themselves on this show. So anyhow,
Yeah,
Debbie, kudos,
I-
patient, grasshopper. I think we want to round this up. We've been here for almost a half hour, and we want to thank you, Adam, for being a part of the sport and for all you do there in Kansas. And thank you, Jim, for being with us.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Adam. Keep it going, man.
For sure.
Okay. And thank all of you for watching. And remember, we'll be back here again. Don't forget us at the
Thank you very much.
OhioRamShow.com. And we'll be seeing you again before too long. Keep your eye on that website, on the Facebook page, and we'll tell you what our next step. Goodbye.
This is Gregory Zuber, thanking you for watching and sharing.
Music